Hi everyone, and welcome to Enlightenment with me, Nancy Jones. A few updates. March 29th, it's a Wednesday, 4 to 8 is Reiki Clinic. It's $25 for about a half an hour Reiki. And it's walk-in basis. It's in Marston's Mills at the corner loft. And you can go to the website to get directions, or you can always inbox me. March 31st, I'm doing a meditation at the corner loft from 6 to 8-ish, or maybe not so long. And the meditation will change our physical state and our mind and bring in guidance and direction in our life, and lots of love. On April, I think it's the first week into the second, I will be at the Cultural Center in Yarmouth. I will be teaching a chakra class. It's 4 weeks, 3 hours, because there's a little bit of homework to the chakras are teaching about meditation and incorporating them into your life and how they affect you and what they do. And it's pretty darn good. And it's my meditation that I actually do almost every day. So I guess what I kind of want to talk about is that came up for me in my meditation was that what do you do with anger? You know, anger can affect us in so many different ways, and we can carry anger with sarcasm and lack of spirituality, pointing the finger at other people, why we are the way we are, and maybe for some reason, you know, that there's good reason for you to be angry, but there does come a time when we don't allow them to rent space in our head, and we want peace. And so anger starts in the mind and then follows its way down into the body, and it will settle in different forms of belief systems in the spiritual part of the auras in around us. And so anger, you know, what the fuck? I don't like you. I don't want to be around you. I don't like the way you look. I think that person did nothing to get everything. She just is with him for his money. How many more things can I find? You know, if I was that kid's parent, I wouldn't let him get away with that. I think you get the picture about all different forms of anger, right? And it's about not looking at ourselves. It's about pointing the finger and judgment. And what do you do about that? You know, how can you change that, right? Well, the first thing I had to do was realize that I was unhappy. And I couldn't go around pretending that I was happy, you know. Deep down inside, maybe thinking, you know, that person's got all my dreams, and why don't I have them? You know, how come I don't have those happening to me? I work, I do this, I do that, but I'm not getting, you know, that nice car in my own home. And, you know, I want to work for myself and not anybody else. And I want to make my own money, and I don't want to answer to anyone, or whatever, you know, your dream is, and you're not there. And part of it is because we have an attitude around other people's wealth and other people's happiness. And it almost comes down to a form of like, what about me? How come I'm not doing this? How come I'm not getting this? I'm doing all the right things. I'm a good person. I'm not hurting anyone physically. Resentment inside blocks us from getting our own goals and dreams. And then, of course, we have the people that want you to think they got it all, right? They got a nice car and a great marriage and healthy kids, but really, what do they got? And then they turn around and say, don't be jealous or mad at me because, you know, I think I got all this. Yet they don't have their own place. You know, they're living with their parents, or, you know, there's always somebody that has something more than somebody else. It's just the way it is. It's how we set our standards and what we want. And the way to get that is to not resent that and to not create resentment around it by, there's that word I hear a lot about, haters. People are haters because I just got a new car. Well, you want to know what? Just saying that creates you getting haters and blocking the flow of abundance in your life. So once you're aware of the attitude around anger, then you can start to address it. And it's really a personality change that would have to happen. And it would have to be of addressing the physical, mental, and the spiritual aspects of our lives. And one part of that would be to say, okay, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to be that person, and I want what that person has. And then you could say, well, I don't know her, so I don't know what she did to get that. Or, well, first of all, she stopped judging other people, and she realized that her self-esteem is based on what she wants and not what she has or he has. And then you start doing little baby steps to act towards that. You know, you find your spirituality any way you can, and you talk to your higher power about your hopes and your dreams and your anger and your resentments, and then mentally you heal inside. What is blocking that? What is the hurt, you know, around it? For me, with my finances, for a long time in the beginning, I had 2 children out of wedlock. I got married and to my second daughter's father, and we weren't married too long, and he died in a car accident. And so I was widowed with 2 small children and homeless for a moment. My parents stepped in, and now I'm living with my 2 children with my parents. And I had to get a job real fast, right? I was only working part-time because I was taking care of the kids, and he was a full-time breadwinner. And I worked a little bit because I had self-esteem. I needed to be amongst adults after being with kids all day. And I didn't want to collect on the government and all that. Well, in the end, after my husband died, I was getting food stamps. I was collecting a monthly check that didn't cover crap, and I was getting free medical. And I was on that roller coaster ride for 3 years. I just couldn't get away from that dependence on the system. It kept me held there. And I was doing, I'm a hairdresser, so I was doing people at home to make extra money. And I was just getting by, you know, and my family was like, oh, I'm going to the grocery store. Do you need anything? And napkins were big in my, for us. We didn't have napkins unless my parents bought them or they were on sale, and tissues were like not a thing. You would get toilet paper, in the house. Those are like luxury items after my husband died and I was poor and working and trying to make ends meet. It wasn't until I got a job and after my husband died and I finally could pick myself up a little bit off after the devastation and the depression. I called the welfare department and said, I'm going to quit my job because I was still doing part-time. I'm going to go full-time on this. And they were like, I said, because I started to daycare. It was $500 a week for 2 children in daycare. I was working for daycare, just daycare. So now I'm getting childcare vouchers so I can go to work, which thank God, because you know what? It built self-esteem for myself that I was at least paying back taxes for some of the stuff I was receiving. And I didn't feel, I wasn't raised to think this is natural to stay on this and do nothing. And then it was, I don't know how many years later, maybe 2 years after that, I was working and paying my bills. But you want to know what? I could never get ahead after my husband passed away too. I had a great checks from him and from my children, and I worked, and I no longer received a check from the state, but I was still getting food stamps and medical. And I was like, my self-esteem started getting great because my kids were in daycare more so I could work more. And I said, I'm not going to stay on this system because it's so hard to get off of it. It took me a while. You know how I did it is I said, I'm not going to use food stamps this month. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to see if I can manage my money, because that was one thing I couldn't do. I was so jealous of people who had certain things and I wanted them, but I couldn't even balance and I had a lot of money coming in. It wasn't like, I had checks coming in because my husband worked for the state and my children were taken care of, and I was working and I could pay my bills, but I never bought a car. Until I really needed one. My parents were like, you can't take this car anymore or whatever. And I just didn't even think about it, getting a vehicle, like I could afford it because I was still in this poverty mode and this mindset. But I finally said, I'm not getting those food stamps. And you know what? I went to the grocery store every day and I lived off my tips and my kids lived off my tips and we started saving money. And I started managing my funds and I started building some credit. And then I got off of collecting from my husband. And I didn't need that anymore. I was scared to death of that. That was a big lump sum. But it kept me dependent and it kept me held back from making more money in who I was. Really digging deep into me and depending on me, having faith in me, right? Instead of other people. And I started reading books on spirituality and love and finding faith within myself and trusting in me. And when I started trusting in me, other people started trusting in me. I didn't have a lot, but now people are asking me, what are you doing? That's my rant for today. I will go on some more about different things, but I hope I could help somebody get through whatever they're getting through. And if no one has told you they love you today, I love you.